Namaste everybody and welcome to the beach. Today we're going to be doing class 3 of our Namastand program. We're going to be relying heavily on the stool and the chair today. The levels are totally up to you as far as how low or how high your chair and stool are. The lower they are, the more challenging some of these poses will get. So if you feel like challenging yourself today, get a lower chair and stool. If you're not quite ready for that, then stick with whichever one works best for you. So we're going to meet on the stool sitting today. And that'll be our starting position, and then we'll move around the mat to do both the chair and the stool. All right, meet you over on the mat. All right, awesome. So we're gonna get started on our stool seated. If you don't have a stool, you only have a chair, it's totally fine. You'll just be moving from the front to the back, so I have two set up. So whatever's more comfortable for you, don't have to get both if you don't want it. But we're going to start seated, and we're gonna go through a sun salutation variation sitting in the chair. So starting out, we're going to be seated up tall, chest is tall. We're gonna take a few breaths to prepare ourselves for our practice today. We're gonna try and fill up our chest and our stomach, not as much our shoulders, so we're breathing through our diaphragm and exhaling through our diaphragm. Take a big breath in and out. Good. A big breath in and out. Wonderful. On our next inhale, we're gonna raise our hands up by our ears and just kind of get a little back bend. Take a big breath in and out. Big breath in. And then our exhale, we're gonna fold over our legs. So our knees are bent, but we're just gonna fold over and kind of grab the back of our calves, taking a big breath in and out here. Good. Wonderful. And then on our inhale, we're going to rise up. We're going to grab our right leg and just kind of pull it into our chest, taking a big breath in and out. Let's drop that leg. Arms come up. Inhale. Exhale, fold over those legs. Wonderful. Inhale, rise up. Grab that left leg, kind of hug it into yourself again. Take a big breath in and out. Drop that leg down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Wonderful. And then inhale back to a seated position. Wonderful. We're going to go through a few more of these, just kind of opening up our hips and our low back and everything moving a little bit. So on our inhale, rise up, arms come up, big breath in. Exhale, forward fold over your legs. Wonderful. Inhale, rise up. Grab that right leg, hug it in. Try and get a really good stretch in those hamstrings. Keep the chest up tall. And then lower that leg. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come back up. Grab that left leg, hug it in, stretch those hamstrings out. Beautiful. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Drop it down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up. Wonderful. So we're going to take one more of those. This is sun salutation in the seated position. So we're going to go through one more of these. So inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Wonderful. Inhale, come to a seated position. Grab that right leg, hug it in, and drop it back down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Beautiful. Inhale, rise up. Grab that left leg, hug it in. Set it back down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Beautiful. And then inhale back to a seated position. All right, so we're moving a little bit on our seated position here. We're going to go through a few cat-cows. So on your inhale, normally cat-cows, we're in a tabletop position on the mat. Since we're in our seated position, there's still a way to get it done. You're going to put your hands on your knees, and you're just going to kind of pull your chest forward on your inhale. And then on your exhale, you're just going to kind of push yourself back and round that spine. Inhale, lift that chest. Beautiful. Exhale, round that spine. So this is the same motion you take in cat-cow, but we're just taking a little bit of pressure off the shoulders and the knees, and you'll be prepped for cat-cow as we continue through this program. Great. Take a few of these just on your own, mixing it up. If you want to go side to side, you want to do some circles, some shoulder rolls, whatever feels good for you, warming up the spine. We're just going to kind of keep it moving here. Wonderful. Once you've gone through a few of your own cat-cows, we're gonna take a few spinal twists. So your right hand is gonna come to the outside of your left knee. Your left hand's gonna come to kind of this back of the stool. You're just gonna kind of twist off to the left, taking a big breath in and out. Beautiful. Big breath in and out. And then we're gonna go off to the other side. So left hand on the outside of your right knee, right hand comes back. Take a big breath in and out. Good. And then back to center. Wonderful. From here, we're just gonna take a few breaths in our seated mountain pose. Hands can be on your knees, your thighs, or just kind of in front of you. Let's take a few breaths. And then we're gonna come standing to the back of a chair. If your stool and chair is the same thing, then you're just gonna come to the back rest. If you have a different chair, we're gonna stand up to that. Go ahead, we're gonna stand, and we're gonna come to our chair. So first things first, both hands on the chair, ground through your left foot, send that right foot back. We're gonna come into a nice lunge. So this is our crescent lunge with support. If you want to get a little, so again, if our chair is really high up, we're not falling too much into this left leg. If our chair is really low, then we're gonna get lower into this. I challenge you to get as low as possible into this lunge. That's how we build strength. But don't get so much that you're, in pain. Don't hurt yourself. But basically, we just want to challenge ourselves. The point of having the back of the chair is if we're having a hard time getting out of this lunge, we can use that chair to pull ourselves up. So we're going to stay in this high crescent. Normally, high crescent is all the way arms up here, but we're doing some chair yoga. So we're just going to stay here for a few. This thigh should be burning a little bit to a lot. Just don't let it be too much, but we're just going to kind of hold that here. Our back calf is stretching. We're holding it for a breath. And then we're gonna step forward. Beautiful. Now we're gonna ground through our right foot and step that left foot back. Again, the bigger step we take, the more we're gonna sink into this front leg. So we're really trying to challenge ourselves. We don't get better without some discomfort. We just don't want it to be so much that we get discouraged. So we're holding here in this wonderful modified crescent lunge. We're taking a few breaths here. Our thighs are burning. We're feeling it. Wonderful. And then we're going to step forward and come back into a mountain with a nice chair support. So we're going to go through one more on each side. So ground through your left foot. Step that right leg back as far as what's comfortable. Challenge yourself a little bit. I even challenge you to lift your hands off the chair a little bit. Hover them so you still have a little bit of safety, but we're able to just kind of challenge ourselves to really get into that lunge. Maybe even put your hands on the chair and dip that lunge a little bit. Work out those thighs to get your hamstrings and your quads warming up, burning, and feeling like you're actually getting a workout in. Wonderful. And then we're going to step forward back to mountain at the top of the mat. Then we're going to take that left foot, step it back, and as far back as what's comfortable. And again, either hover your arms or your hands above the chair, or add a little support and just kind of sink, even just kind of pulse into that lunge. Let's build the muscle. We're trying to get it so we're doing a normal yoga routine without any chairs. So let's push it while we have the support. Wonderful. Then we're going to step forward. Make sure your chair's not wobbly like mine, because otherwise you will fall. So life lesson there. Wonderful. So this next one we're going to get into is a nice chair pose using the chair. So you can either grab the side or the top of your chair. Again, make sure it's not going to fall, but feet is going to be hip width apart or all the way together, whatever feels best for you. But essentially you just want a little bit of support at the base. And we're going to sink into a chair pose. So you're going to come into like your seat, trying to sit in a chair, and your hands are supporting yourself on the back of this chair. Now normally chair pose is all the way up here with our arms up. We're not quite ready for that. So we're using our chair to support ourselves. Your thighs should be burning. The lower you sink, the more challenging we're getting. So rise back up. This one's a little bit harder because we're really working both legs. Use the chair as much as you need for support. Sink back into it. Beautiful. And then rise back up. Let's do two more. Sink into it. And then rise back up. Sink into it. And then rise back up. Wonderful. Now we're gonna go through just a little bit of a calf strengthener. So from here, I want you to just kind of take a slight step back. And we're gonna come up onto our toes, but I want you to put some pressure into your hands. This is gonna prepare us for up dog, chaturanga, and down dog when we get onto the mat. So a little bit of pressure here into our hands, up onto our toes, and feeling those calves burning a little bit. And then slowly lower back down. Wonderful. Now, a little bit of a challenge. If you want to take a further step back, so more pressure is into your hands again. Make sure your chair is stable if you're going to do this. But now we're going to press up into our calf raises again. But a lot more pressure is in our hands because this is going to get us prepped for down dog. So hold here, feel the burn. Your toes are engaged. You're squeezing the floor with your toesies. Your calves are burning. And we're going to slowly lower back down. Wonderful. Now you can stay here. You can get closer to the chair if you feel challenged. Or if you want to get a little bit more of a challenge, we're going to step further back, more pressure in our hands, and raise up onto our toes. Again, we're all just trying to prep for our more challenging poses through an easier route. So this is a little bit more like down dog. We're going to hold this pose, feel the calves burning, the toesies are engaged. Beautiful. And then slowly lower back down. Wonderful. And then we're going to walk ourselves back to the top of the chair. Wonderful. So on this next one, we are going to turn ourselves back to our stool because we want to be just a little bit lower. If you have just the chair, then just use the chair. But we're going to get into some of our more challenging poses. So we're going to come into a nice prep for down dog. So you're going to put your hands on the mat or on the stool, and you're going to step back and get a nice, almost like a forward fold. But a lot of your pressure is in your shoulders because you're really trying to get that down dog preparation. So your shoulders are engaged, you're stretching the hamstrings, and we're taking a few breaths here. Big breath in and out, and then walk yourselves back up to your hands. Beautiful. Now we're just taking kind of a slight forward fold. Our hands are on the chair just to support ourselves a little bit. Taking a few breaths, and then let's plant those hands again, and let's walk back and come into another modified down dog. Take a big breath in. Again, make sure your stool and chair is not flying all over the place so you don't fall on your face. Take a big breath in and out. Beautiful. Wonderful. And then we're going to walk ourselves back to the top of the stool. Get a little bit of a chest raise. We're doing a nice forward fold modified with this stool. Wonderful. And then we're going to inhale. We're going to rise all the way back up. And then we're going to take a few modified triangle and warrior poses. So first we're going to get into warrior. So if this stool, I have a low stool because I'm prepped for it. If you feel like a chair a little bit higher is what you need to bring the ground to you, pick whichever one's best for you. You're going to put your left hand on the mat. You're going to step your right foot back, and it's going to be cut at an angle. So your right foot is perpendicular to the mat. Your left foot is parallel. And then we're just going to stay here. Your hand, again, if you want a chair that's up here or like this height as well, then you can stay. But I want you to challenge yourself by having something as low as you can get to really prep for a full warrior two. But if we have a little bit of support, that's what we want as well. So we're going to sit here. We're going to hold this. We're going to feel a little bit of that burn into the thigh. And then we're going to straighten that front leg. And again, more pressure into your hand if you need. And bring that right hand up for a triangle pose. Hold for a few breaths. Your abs are engaged. We're feeling that belly button being pulled to our spine as we twist more towards the ceiling. Wonderful. And then bend that front knee, come back into a warrior two, modified with a chair or a stool. Wonderful. Big breath in and out. And then again, extend that front leg and go ahead and come into a nice triangle pose. Wonderful. Hold it here again. Belly button's engaged. Chest is engaged. Fingers are even engaged. Wonderful. Back into warrior two, and then you're going to step forward, coming to a nice tall mountain at the top of the mat. We're gonna put our right hand onto the stool or chair. Right foot is staying, and step that left foot back for a warrior two on this side. Again, whatever size chair you choose, we're gonna hold here into warrior two. Maybe you even wanna get a little crazy and come up into a full warrior two without any support, knowing you have that stool there or chair there to fall back onto. So try whichever one feels best. If we wanna go back into our triangle pose, then we can come back onto that stool, and we're twisting up towards the sky. Again, belly button is engaged. We're trying to pull it to our spine. Arms are engaged, shoulder blades squeezing, that engage our chest. Fingers are alive. We're holding here. And then back into warrior two. Hand on the stool or chair, or challenge yourself to come all the way up into warrior two. Wonderful. Hold for a breath, and then back into warrior, or into triangle pose. Big breath in, everything's engaged. Wonderful. And then back into warrior two. And then if you need that stool, hold onto it, step to the top of our mat, and we're gonna get a nice forward fold. So hands onto the stool, and we're just gonna forward fold a little bit over the stool. If you wanna come all the way to the floor, you can come all the way to the floor, whatever feels best for you. Take a big breath in and out. Big breath in and out. Wonderful. Then we're gonna rise up, and then we're gonna take a few different poses here onto our stool. So we're gonna take just a little bit of a step back, ground to the right foot, step onto the stool with your left. You can put your foot as far forward or as far back as you want. Just make sure you're grounded. The stool's not gonna fall. Hands to your hips, and we're just gonna kind of sink into this and come back. So this is another way to modify high crescent. So high crescent is normally all the way here. So we're gonna modify it, hands on your hips. You can bring your arms up and you sink into that front. We're stretching the right hip flexors, and we're building strength into that left leg. If it's too much to have your hands up above, then you just bring them back to your hip. And we're just gonna come through a few of these and just kind of straighten that leg and then bend further into it. Straighten that leg, bend further into it. Good, let's do one more. Straighten it, and then bend further into it. And we're gonna get a nice hamstring stretch by fully straightening it. We can stay just up tall like this, or we can bend over that leg a little bit. You can even reach towards your shin or your toes to get a nice hamstring stretch. Don't let your body rotate like this. Keep your hips pointed forward. If you feel like you need help with that by reaching both hands forward, then try that as well. Take a big breath in and out. Beautiful, and then we're gonna rise back up, release that left leg, and then switch. Put that right onto the stool, and we're gonna sink into it. If we wanna get a little bit more into our high crescent, then we're gonna send those arms up by our ears. We're sinking into it, extending that leg. Sinking into it, extending that leg. Wonderful, let's take a few more. Feel the burn. We're building muscle, and we're gaining flexibility. One more, sink into it. Beautiful, and then extend that leg fully. If your hands were up, bring them to your hips, and then go ahead and sink forward. Now shin, you can stay with your hands on your hips. You can bring them to your shin, your ankle, or reach towards your toes. Just don't let yourself rotate off to the left. Keep your hips forward. It's better for your hammies, for your low back, better stretch for you. Take a big breath in and out. Take a big breath in and out. Beautiful, and then we'll rise back up, place that foot on the floor. Wonderful, and we're just gonna kind of walk it out. Big breath in. Anytime you need water, please pause the video, grab some water. I always forget to tell people that, but keep yourself hydrated. I only say that because I'm like, I might be thirsty. Anyways, all right, sorry. On to the next one. So we're gonna take, once again, that left foot, we're gonna step it up onto that stool. Your hands can either stay on your hips, but we're gonna get into a nice little twist here. So sink into that left leg, bring that right hand to the outside of your left, and just kind of twist a little bit. Not so much you feel off balance, even if you just put that hand on the knee and you stay like this. If you're able to twist a little bit more, twist into it, take a big breath in and out. Wonderful. and then come back to your center. Wonderful, kind of sink back into it. Wonderful, and then twist off to the left. Take a big breath in. If you want to even get a little bit more for your abs, raise your arms up and twist, because then there's no arm involvement. It's all your abs twisting. It's great for spine health. Take a big breath in and out, and then come back to neutral. Bring that left foot back, and then let's go ahead and step that right foot up. So again, just kind of sink into it. You can just get a little twist off to the right, or we can raise that hand all the way up. Beautiful. Take a big breath in and out, and take a big breath in and out. Wonderful. Come back to center if you want. And then let's do one more twist. Again, you can just get a little twist here or raise your arms all the way up to get a really good ab workout. Spinal health is important. Wonderful. Take a few breaths here, in and out, and then back to center. Wonderful. We're gonna get a little bit more of a core workout. So again, if the stool is too low, switch to the chair. But we're gonna do a few knees to nose. So take a little bit of a further step back if you're comfortable with it. You're gonna raise that left or that right foot up, and you're just gonna kind of sink it towards your middle and almost try to touch to your nose. And then you're gonna send it back and then touch it up to your nose. Send it back and touch it up to your nose. Wonderful. Let's do 3 more of these. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Set that leg down, switch sides, so send that left foot just back a little bit, and then try and crunch it to your nose. Send it back, crunch it to your nose. Wonderful, and just do 3 more of these. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful, and place that leg down. Walk your feet to your hands, take a nice forward fold, and a halfway lift. Wonderful, and then rise all the way up. We're gonna come back to our chair now, so we're gonna do some different poses here. So we're gonna get into another warrior pose, but this time using the chair, because we're gonna do some balance poses. So first we're gonna stay to the top of our mat, hands onto the chair, and then we're gonna take that right hand, step that left foot back, again, perpendicular to the mat with your left foot, right foot is facing forward, warrior 2. If you wanna hover it and take a full warrior without the support of the chair, that's great. Hold it here, take a breath, and then you're gonna turn into a nice lunge. So pop that back heel. You can either come all the way up with your arms up here for a high crescent, or you can even take one hand up, right hand on whichever hand you want, onto the chair, and just hold it here. Wonderful. Then we're gonna push off and just stand onto our right leg and bring that left hand back to grab that ankle. We can stay here. We can kind of sink forward, preparing for dancer pose. So the further you sink, the more challenging it gets because we're engaging our abs. But if you just kind of sink forward just a little bit, we've just got a nice little modified dancer's pose. Wonderful, and then come back up, and then we're going to turn, so mostly so you can see me, but also turn a little bit. So we're gonna take a modified tree pose. So your toes are gonna come to the inside of your shin towards your knee. You can even get it all the way up if you want, but whatever place you want, or you can keep your toes on the ground onto your shin. But try to challenge it by moving it up a little bit up the leg. Hand onto this chair, right hand on the chair, left hand at our chest. And let's just hold here for a few, and let's just really feel that burn in that right foot. Take a big breath in and out. In and out. Wonderful. And then we're gonna take that left foot, step it all the way back, turn that right foot back into warrior 2, hold for a breath, and then step that left foot up to meet the right. Wonderful. Now we're gonna switch sides. So left hand on the chair, step that right foot back, warrior 2. I challenge you to take a full warrior, no support. You can just hover it above that chair if you feel unsteady. Hold for a breath. And then if you want to grab that chair, we're going to pop that right back heel and come into a high crescent lunge. So your hands can either be on the chair, or I challenge you to bring them up by your ears for a nice high crescent. Beautiful. Hold here, take a big breath. And then when you're ready, hands come to the chair. We're gonna step up, and that right hand is gonna come and grab that right ankle. And let's just sink forward a little bit for preparing for a dancer pose one day. Take a big breath in and out. And a big breath in and out. Wonderful. Come back down. And then let's go ahead. I'm going to turn towards the camera so you can see me. So left leg is on the floor. Right leg is going to come up to the shin and ankle, or all the way up as high as you can go. You can have left or right hand, but one comes to the chest, one comes to support us. The left foot is then on the ground. Take a big breath in and out. Big breath in and out. Wonderful. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to step all the way back. So left foot at the top of the mat, step that right foot all the way back. Warrior two. Again, challenge yourself, hover it a little bit. Take a big breath in and out. Wonderful. And then we're going to step forward to the top of our mat. And then let's go ahead and come to a nice seated position to get our cool down in. Wonderful. So from here, we're taking the seated position on to ours. So we had a few good standing poses, some good sit-in poses. We prepped for a few. So now we're just going to get a nice cool down in our seated position. So from here, let's just take a few big breaths. And then let's go ahead. Left hand comes to our stool or chair. Right arm comes up, and let's just get a nice side stretch here on the right. Take a big breath in and out. And then let's switch sides. Right arm comes down, left comes up. Take a big breath in and out. Good, let's go to switch one more time. Big breath in and out. Wonderful. One more time on the other side. Now we're going to take our legs out to the side. So it's almost like you're sitting in a saddle. So I'm going to turn my stool so you can actually see what I'm doing. So this is saddle pose or goddess pose. I prefer saddle pose because it's a little less feminine. But arms are going to come up to the side, up top, and we're just going to kind of put a little bit of pressure. Part of the reason that seated positions are great is because you are supported, but you also get lazy. So I want you to put a little pressure in your feet so your thighs are still engaged. You just have a little support from that chair. So and it's even so that way if you could stand up, you could. If you want to, go ahead and just kind of hover above that chair into this goddess pose, knowing you can come down at any point you would like to. So take this saddle pose, this goddess pose, whichever one you want, and let's just kind of hold here for a breath. Arms are engaged. Big breath in and out. Beautiful. And then we'll come back down, come to a full seated position. Let's send that right leg out, and let's just fold over it a little bit. Taking a big breath in and out. Big breath in and out. Wonderful. Back up to the top. Send that left leg out. Forward fold over it. Take a big breath in and out. Wonderful. And then back to seated. Let's take that right leg. Let's hug it in. Take a few breaths here. And then set that ankle on top of your left knee. Just kind of fold into this. So this is a nice pigeon pose here. Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. Good. And then go ahead and set that leg down. Pull that left leg in. Hold it for a breath. And then set that left ankle on top of the right knee and fold over it. Beautiful. Take a big breath in and out. Big breath in and out. Wonderful. And then go ahead and we'll come back to a seated position. We're just going to take a little bit of a nice, what we call a cobra pose into the chair. So you're going to grab kind of the back of your chair and you're just going to pull your chest forward. That arms back there just kind of helping to pull that chest forward a little bit more and adding a little bit more of a torque to it. So you're squeezing your shoulder blades together. We're opening that chest. Take a big breath in and out. Good, one more breath. And then come back to the center. Wonderful. So now you can stay in your seated position, or you can come laying down all the way onto the mat. We're going to take our final resting pose, which is Shavasana in traditional yogi sense, is laying all the way down. Or if you're more comfortable in the chair, then we're going to take the chair. And on your hands where you're comfortable, if you just want them seated, good English, just sitting in your lap. Oh boy. Or if you want to come all the way laying down, but I would like your eyes closed for this. Let's just take a few breaths to get ourselves back to neutral. You can take this moment to reflect, to meditate, to pray, whatever you need for this moment. And let's just take a few moments to just breathe in and out, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Wonderful. Take a few more. Wonderful. In traditional yoga flows, whether it's chair or not, you can stay in Shavasana for up to, for as long as you want, for at least 10 minutes. Since it's a video, we cut it off here and we call it a day. All right, everybody, hopefully that flow got you moving just a little bit more, challenging ourselves a little more. We're going to consistently try and get a little bit more standing poses and a little less seated, but the chair and the stool are really nice to use as props to get you to a full yoga practice. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. The next one, we're gonna focus more on the stool and the blocks. So maybe we can get people away from the chair a little bit more, getting to a little bit more of a standing position for Namastand. Awesome. So hopefully we see you guys here next one for our 4th installment. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. And remember, everybody, Namaste, beaches.